think it's even philosophical, the concept of leaving the comfort zone.
Yes. But what you have to do as a leader, you create an environment where people self-motivate. Very few organizations work across the department.
If you copy-paste the approach, it's a failure. So
the Thai royal family, by the way, is very close to the Belgian royal family. Yeah, because King Rama IX and King Baldwin, they spent time together in Switzerland.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second episode of the Emerging Markets Insights podcast series. Today I'm honored to host a special guest, Francis Vanbellen, a highly skilled CEO, an expert in the field of change management, transformation of the organizations, someone with decades of experience across Europe and Southeast Asia. I'm very curious to interview Francis because I believe we can get a lot of insights about the change management, about the transformation, considering his wealth of experience in this field. Francis, welcome to our podcast. I'm honored to host you today. Thank you so much for taking your time. I think the best way to kickstart this podcast would be to have an introduction of yours. Maybe you can introduce yourself, tell a bit about your background, your story, how you end up here in Thailand. All of this, let's make it briefly because I have plenty of questions about the change management, about the transformation, and hopefully we'll be able to get the best of your insights during this podcast session. Is it fine for you?
Well, first of all, thank you, Riyad, for having me and allowing me to share my experiences. So I'm a European. I'm born and raised in Belgium. I'm now 66 years old, so I would say I'm expired. But I think I still can contribute a lot to our society. I have been raised in a very interesting family in Belgium. So from my father's side, French-speaking family, from my mother's side, Flemish-speaking. Also two different worlds, aristocracy and like a commoner from my mother's side. So I studied Master of Science in Chemical Engineering at the University of Louvain. Later I studied a Master of Business Administration at the Vlerik School, and I also have a postgraduate from Harvard Business School. So that's my professional side. For my personal side, I have been married. I have two children. We have a very happy family, and I think the family is also a very strong background for me to do my job. I moved to Thailand 13 years ago, if I may say so. I was asked to come here to help reorganize a company called Padang Industries. It's a zinc company, a metal mining and zinc company. And so 5 years ago, I decided to retire. And then my friend, a good friend of mine, asked me to look into his company, which is a high-end furniture manufacturing company in Southeast Asia.
Very interesting, and I didn't know that part that you retired and then you came back.
Yes, correct. It's a second life.
A second life. Yeah. Francis, so about your career, you reshaped and you transformed several companies in different countries, so both in Europe and Southeast Asia. Could you please share with us what it takes to transform an organization? What does it cost?
Well, the change I did in all these companies was in the beginning a natural consequence of leading the company. So you step into a job, you see the company, and you see that there is need of change. And then the first thing you learn is that most people don't like change. So I will jump to your question now. What does it take to change? First of all, most of all, the leaders of the company have to be aware there is a need of change. Often they don't see it. Often they believe that what they have been doing all the time is the best way of doing things until somebody confronts them with the need for change. It can be the market. The market can ask for change. Your product may be not be sellable anymore, or the way you produce, or the way you operate is not let's say aligned anymore with today's needs, or you need other resources, or the people change. So first of all, the biggest issue is you have to recognize that there is a need for change.
What do you focus on when you change a company, when you change an organization?
Well, it's obvious. First of all, it's people. anything runs with people, anything goes through people. But when you want to change, first of all, you have to look at the DNA of a company. So the DNA of a company will tell you what that company is capable of. The DNA of a company consists of the values of the company. So is this a company that is open-minded? Is this a company where people can share their ideas? And what are the competences of that company? The core competence. What is that company good in? For instance, the core competence of the company where I used to work, Umicore in Europe, are flexibility, complexity, and reliability. So that company was able to provide flexible solutions to complex problems in a very reliable way. And then when you know those competencies, those core competencies, you can build on them. And that should be, let's say, the focus for your change. Then you have to see what we are doing today. How does that fit within the values of the company, the core competence of the company, and how can we make it fit better?
Very interesting. So it's a mix of people,
Yes.
values. Are you the one who identified these values?
Well, that's the first thing you have to do. Normally, the values of a company are very visible from the first moment you enter a company. You can already see it the way that the receptionist talks to you, the way that the management is open to talk to you or not. So you can perceive it, then you can read documents and you can do some interviews. So to fine tune that you really grasp the real values of that company. But then it comes to core competences, which is much more difficult because there is companies that believe, oh, this is my core competences, this is what we're good at. But in the end, it's maybe not. Maybe their core competences should be revisited. And they have competences in the company that could be their core competences, but they don't realize.
Francis, I recently read that according to Harvard Business Review, 2/3 of transformation initiatives fail. From your perspective, what is the secret recipe? What are the factors that maximize the success of the likelihood of a successful transformation initiative?
Well, I think even more changes fail than to turn. No, I think change is one of the most difficult things. So first of all, for change, the company and the people of the company, mainly the leaders, have to recognize the need for change. If you do not believe there is a need for change, you will not change. It's also for yourself as a person. If you do not recognize that you have competence to develop, for instance, you are not a good listener, and you do not know that you are not a good listener, you will never become a good listener. So the first thing is you have to recognize that there is a need for change. And that's the most difficult thing. Usually this starts with the shareholders or one of the top managers. But often many top managers do not accept that there is a need. So the first thing you often have to do is to remove the top of the company. You have to take them out because they do not believe there is a need for change. Once they agree that there is a need for change, then you have to lead them through a change program where they feel comfortable and they see a role for themselves to help the change to happen.
Identifying a problem is solving it by 50%.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So recognize
acknowledging.
Yes, correct.
You're making a perfect transition because my next question was about people. So, as you have previously mentioned, usually people are resilient to change.
Yes.
Usually people are afraid of change.
Yes.
How do you convince them to change? How do you embrace change?
Well, honestly, that's the most difficult part of the change, and that also takes most of the time. When you need to change equipment, machinery, procedures, suppliers, systems, it's not that difficult and it can go quite fast. But people are the key. In fact, people make the difference. Why are we resistant to change? Well, personally, I'm also resistant to change. When I came to Thailand, I moved into a house at Ekamai, and I never wanted to leave Ekamai anymore because I liked it. Until I found out that Sathorn area is also a nice area, and then I had to convince myself to move there. and I did the move. Also in my personal life, I am divorced. So in the beginning I was ashamed of it. No, I'm not anymore because my ex-wife and I, we have a very good understanding. But when you feel that something is not working out, you have to push yourself to change. Now bring it back to a company. You have been a CEO or a big shot in a company for years, and you make good money, sometimes less. You do not know or you do not realize that there is a need for change because you are comfortable. So you create a level of comfort for yourself that you do not want to give up. As well in private life as in a professional life, you have to step out of your comfort zone to be able to change. But often you do not want because you don't see the need to step out of that comfort zone. And that's why often you need to bring in someone externally. Many companies use consultants or advisors. I'm not saying these people are useless, they are useful, but the change needs to be done by the company or the leaders of the company themselves, by the people of the company. That's why when I step into a company for change, the first thing I do is I take the position of the CEO. There is no way you can change it as a leader by not taking up the position of the CEO or the managing director. And then you can start working with people, and then you can identify within your people the ones who are resistant to change, the one who might change, and then you have the early believers. You have always early believers. In every organization, you have people that like to be in the spotlight and like to change. Take them on board, and with your early believers, you have to work on the other groups of people.
These are very interesting insights, Francis.
I don't know.
Thank you.
It's my
Thank you very much for
experience.
sharing this. The first part, I think it's even philosophical. The concept
Yeah.
of leaving the comfort zone. I
Yes.
think it applies to the day to day.
Correct.
In the end of the day, I can hear that. Well, it's the same basically in the
Yes.
the corporate structure. Because
Yes.
it's about the people, right? Companies are about the people.
Yes.
So I can hear that your role is also kind of pushing people out of their comfort
Yes.
zone, right? And
Well, I don't push them out of their comfort zone. What I try to do is make them move by themselves out of their comfort zone. It's the same as motivating people. I do not believe you can motivate people. People will always motivate themselves. But what you have to do as a leader, you create an environment where people self-motivate. Because if I tell you what you should be motivated for, there will always be resistance. You will question me. But if I make you comfortable and I create an environment where you find your own motivation, and I can help you to make sure that that motivation is aligned with my goals, then I think we can.
correct. I agree with you. It makes a lot of sense.
You can disagree.
No, I mean I can, but this one I will agree.
It's
Some-
just my. This is based on my life experience. I could not tell the same story 20 or 30 years ago. But every day you move on, you learn more.
change.
You change, voilà, you change. You change as a person. I am not the same person as I was 30 or 20 or 10 years ago. I'm not even the same person as I was 2 years ago.
Likewise. We talked about changing organizations. We talked about changing people. What is more complicated, changing a person or changing an
Changing a
organization?
person. Definitely changing a person. Well, honestly, I'm very good in changing organizations because I know how to do it. And when I change an organization, I change it from a functional based organization into a process based organization. I give you an example. In many companies, you have operations, you have finance, you have HR, you have IT, you have quality management, stuff like that. They're all, I call them chimney organized, and they all work well within their own department. Very few organizations work cross the departmental. So for me, when I look for instance, in my actual company, we produce high-end outdoor furniture. And when I came there, you could see very well that there was a separate operational department and a separate quality department, separate research department. But now, when we introduce a new product, what we do is we bring people together from the different departments And I even include, from the beginning, I even include people from finance or accounting. Because these people, they often have totally different ideas, totally different insights in how we should do it, because they also know the implications of the cost when you make something. So we make these teams more cross-functional, and we try to organize ourselves in a process way. So that when we have to produce a chair or a table or an umbrella, that we focus on the product and how this product starts in the company from a price request to a prototype making, to operations, to the logistics, delivery, after service, and stuff like that. So that's for me, I believe, the way to organize yourself. So you organize your company in a process way, not in a functional way. And then you fit in the people. And that is where the difficulty arises, because people are used to work in functions. And certainly, sorry to say, in Asia we have very functional way of organizing ourselves. And on top, sorry to say again, I love Asia and I love Thailand. But many Thai people, the first thing they want to do in a job is create for themselves the highest level of comfort in their own job, without being bothered too much and without bothering too much their colleagues.
Thank you so much for mentioning Asia and Thailand, because I wanted to smoothly shift towards this discussion, Asia-related conversation. It's our region, I believe here. We
Yes.
love Thailand.
Yes,
I love
absolutely.
Thailand
Yes,
personally.
very much so.
What would you recommend to a company, a business that wants to succeed in Thailand? What is needed to succeed here?
First of all, before you decide, if you're not in Thailand yet, before you decide to move to Thailand, take your time to understand the Thai environment. And you have to understand two things, of course. You have to understand the Thai culture, the Thai way of living, which is totally different from yours. If you have a problem with that, don't move really. Secondly, you also have to understand that the Thai way of doing business, or the Asian way of doing business, although in Asia there is different countries with different ways, but it's different from Europe. We in Europe, for us, everything is we have to go fast. We want results immediately, and we pay very little attention to how to manage our relations. So we are very much result oriented and very little relation oriented. For me, the main difference to move from Belgium to Thailand was that I had to understand I have to be like a father of the company. You have to take care of your company. I'm not saying it doesn't work in Europe. The same goes in Europe, but to a less extent. In Europe, I used to work in Belgium, and I had a lot of European employees, but I also had a lot of North African employees, like from Morocco or Algeria. So people with another religious culture from our culture. And also these people you need to treat differently. So I had already a sensitivity for different cultures, and I like it. I prefer to work with different cultures, because that makes our life much richer, and for sure it will make the results better. So when I came to Thailand, but I came to Thailand and I found more like a monoculture. It was only the Asian culture, so I had to bring some of the European and Western world, let's say, ways of thinking into Thailand, but still with respect for the Thai way of doing things. So you need to understand, in Thailand, there is less separation between work and private life. You need to know your people, are they happy at home? Do they have a problem at home? Is somebody sick at home? And also, we need to take more care of their personal needs. For instance, in our company now, we are creating a kindergarten, because we have a lot of Burmese or Myanmar people that are often women with a child without a husband. So they need a daycare center for their children. This is something that in Europe is organized by the authorities. Here we are, as an employer, you need to take more care of the real personal needs of you.
if I can bring my 5 cents, I've been here for 9 months. I mean,
9 months only.
yeah. Compared to your wealth of experience,
Yeah.
it's just the beginning. Nevertheless, I also noticed the differences already, and I acknowledge that I did mistakes in the beginning.
Yes,
I
me
came
too.
I came with the European mindset.
Yeah.
I'm not originally European, but my professional background is European. I've always worked in European companies, and I came here with this very rational approach.
Yeah.
You know, focus on the efficiency, time management,
Yeah.
output, minimizing the
Yeah.
input, maximizing the output. You know,
Correct.
it doesn't work really
No.
here. If you apply it 100%, if you copy paste the approach, it's a failure. So I fully agree with you. You have to be a bit less rational, a bit more emotional.
Yes.
You have to be compassionate. You have to
Yes.
be humble. You have to listen to people. You have to understand them. And yes, the rhythm is different. The
Yes.
rhythm isn't as fast as much as possible.
Yeah.
The approach is very different. So I can only agree with everything you said. Regarding the kindergarten, this is a bit new for me. This is very interesting
It's a
to hear.
small thing. Huh?
But I can only agree. I think it's the right approach when, if the government can't provide everything to people, well, the companies can take some responsibilities, right? And I think that it can also help to boost the loyalty of the
Yes.
employees. And this was my
Yes.
next question,
Yeah.
because I feel like there is a very high turnover here in Thailand, in Bangkok. People change jobs very quickly, and talent retention is a challenge for many companies. What do you think about that? Do you observe?
It's an interesting point that you make. But first of all, I also made mistakes when I came here. The biggest mistake I made was in my first meeting ever. I had my management team around the table, and I asked openly one question. I said, "Tell me, what do you believe is the biggest problem of our company?" Of course, I didn't get any answer. Thai people will never speak out, certainly not against seniors or against peers in public. So that was my biggest mistake, and I made many mistakes after that also. Now, coming back to the question, I believe that taking care of people is important, as you say, because not necessarily because the government doesn't provide that, but you create loyalty. And then it comes to the topic of turnover. People moving. I never had that problem. To be honest, every time I came into a company, in the beginning I had a high rate of people leaving because I didn't agree with the way I was going. But once they understood what I was doing, I could really reduce the turnover. We have, for instance, in our company now, in the furniture company, we do metal furniture, so mainly stainless steel and aluminum. So welding is a very important competence, and we couldn't find welders. And so what did we do in order to retain it? First of all, we created what we call the academy, the welding academy. In our small company, 300 people, we created the welding academy in collaboration with Thammasat University. So we started to train our own welders, and then we offered them a contract, which was attractive, but not the we are not the best payers. We do not compete for people with money. We compete for people with by attracting them to our company as a company where you feel as a family member to work.
I can hear that you have an academy, you have a kindergarten.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah,
whole
we also have
ecosystem.
we have also a school. We set up a small school for English training, because one of the problems of many Thai people is they don't speak English. When they speak English, they become more workable. They can be easily at work anywhere. So we set up an English training program for them. And now we are thinking of a school also for the children of our own employees, but that's more difficult.
Yes.
So the point is, I didn't have an experience of high turnover. And I believe maybe in Bangkok it's a high turnover more than where we are in Pathum Thani. But also in Pathum Thani there is a high turnover. So what we do is we create this kind of loyalty by by making them feel family. So once a month we celebrate the all the happy birthdays. So I personally walk around in the plant and I congratulate them and I take a picture with them and I give them a small token. And so that we have our own TV station internally, the SD TV we call it. And so with different screens in the plant, and so people can see that who of their colleagues has birthday. We also show the customers. We show the problems in the plant and so on.
Very interesting approach for loyalty. I really believe that the fact that people can bring their children to the kindergarten,
Yeah.
Well, it really creates, within the company, it creates some sense of family environment.
Yeah.
We talked about my mistakes. I mean, I mentioned my mistakes, you mentioned yours. Are there any other common mistakes that you see from the foreign
Yes.
companies or individuals relocating here to Thailand?
Well, I think the biggest mistake I see, and it's also something that makes me ashamed, is often foreigners come to Thailand and they believe they are better than the Thai people. They believe they are better because they come from a better world, or they are richer, or they have a better education. I would say, sorry to say, it's bullshit. I hate when people look down on Thailand. Thailand is a very developed country. Thailand has all the infrastructure, they have good universities, but I would say a major problem for Thailand is the education system in general is not good enough. We must work to improve our education system. Why do so many more, let's say, richer Thai people send their children to international schools or abroad? It's exactly to raise their level of education. And if we in Thailand could invest more in a better educational system, then I think we would have more possibilities for everyone. When you look, for instance, at English training, when English training at school, it's often writing and grammar, very little speaking. And so the many Thai people are not used to speak English. And then they're a little bit shy because in the Thai culture, you should not show off. In the Thai culture, mostly you have to, well, which is a good thing in a way. You show respect to the elder people, you show respect to other people. But when foreigners come here, they can take advantage of that. And I hate that. I don't like it. I do not like in general how foreigners, I would say, not look down, but treat the Thai people. In my opinion, it's disrespectful. Thai people are mostly Buddhist people. They are very open-minded. They are very respectful. They acknowledge when things happen. So that's, I think, a commonly made mistake. Also in business. Then they step into a business model, they step into a company, and they immediately believe that the Thai people are less competent than the others, which is not true. You just have to find out which Thai people or which of your people fit in a better job. So that's the first thing you also do in a business environment. You assess the different people, certainly the leaders and the management, in what job they are. And often they are not performing because they're not in the right job, and you can just switch them in your company to another job. I did it. I switched my operational head of department with my head of technical department. So the person who was leading the operation, I switched with the person who was the technical support, because the technical support guy was much better in leading people. So you switch both and it works much better.
You mentioned in the very beginning, coming from they think that they come from a better world. So I would question the definition of better world.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So
it's what I believe that.
A different,
Yeah.
a different world. I must say that I also changed in Thailand. You know, I came with different mindset from business perspective, from professional perspective, and Thailand humbled me down.
Yeah,
Thailand
correct.
humbled me down. Thailand made me maybe more understanding, more passionate, you know, maybe more human.
Yes.
I was wondering, do you think that Thailand changed you?
Yes, definitely. In so far, well, I would first look back a little bit to what you said earlier about rational and emotional. In business, in Thailand, you have to balance more the emotional intelligence with the rational intelligence. So, yes, insofar that even in my daily life, Thailand has changed a lot. I believe that I am more understanding towards different other people's opinion. I used to be very straightforward. When you can think different from me, I don't fucking care what you think. That's your decision, but I do not respect you for your thinking. I think I have learned in Thailand to listen more and dig deeper into what people think and why they think like that. So to better understand that. And then you can also better understand the world. I think I am more, let's say, consensus minded now than I used to be. I used to easily step into a conflict to solve a problem, whilst today I would try to avoid conflicts. Well, if I cannot, I cannot. I will not avoid the conflict, but I will try, first of all, to solve problems more in a consensus way.
Which is a very Thai way of doing things.
Yes.
Conflict here is not very well seen, actually. People avoid conflict.
Yeah, but sometimes you have to go into a conflict. If I have a problem with you and we cannot solve the problem, I will say to you, Riyad, I'm very sorry. You might be a nice person. You probably are a very competent person, but you don't fit with us. There is places where you might better fit. I will not avoid that confrontation, and I will explain you why if you want to know. But first of all, I will take more time to try to get you on board than I used to. And that's the problem with change management. To come back to change management. When you want to change, you need to change as fast as possible. The longer you take to change, the more time you lose. And by the time you have realized your change, it might be too late. So change must also be quickly. My biggest mistake in change I ever made was that I waited too long. I waited too long to get everyone on board, and then it was too late. It was too late.
Changing fast in Thailand.
Yes.
That should be challenging. You know?
Yes, correct. So and that it was in Thailand. So I tried to pay more attention to people, but at that time I think I went too far. So you have to find the right balance between patience and drive for change. So do not be too patient, but also don't be too fast.
I think we are arriving to maybe to the final stage of this interview, and you came back to the topic of change. We talked about Thailand, about change, about transformation. Are there things that you would like to see change in Thailand?
Ooh. Well, first of all, let me make something very clear. I really deeply love Thailand.
Likewise.
For me, it is I would say, when people ask me where is home, I should say Belgium, but for me, home is also Thailand. Why do I love Thailand so much? Well, I am a royalist. You know, I live in a country with a king, and I love the royalty, and I love the royal family as much in Belgium as in Thailand. The Thai royal family, by the way, is very close to the Belgian royal family.
Very interesting.
Yeah, because King Rama IX and King Baldwin, they spent time together in Switzerland. So within the context of a constitutional monarchy, I think Thailand is doing very well. What I would like to see changing in Thailand is sometimes rules are very complicated. You know, when you want to do something, you have a lot of rules to adhere to, and you have to run from one official office to another official office. That's an issue. So we lose a lot of time. A second thing, but I think everybody can agree with that, and it's not just a Thai problem. There is still corruption. There is still corruption in many countries, and I know that Thailand is fighting very hard to move the corruption away, but it's difficult. I have been a victim of corruption myself, so that's a thing I would like to change. On the other hand, the third thing I would like to change is that I would love to see our Thai people grow into people that are more proud of themselves, and people that are more determined to grow in life and to reach something. I think that Thai people have all the potential. So if they can have the mindset to believe more in themselves, I think they could. The sky is the limit. I would say.
First of all, I would like to say that I really love the way you say our Thai people.
Exactly.
I'm fascinated. It's vulnerable. It's vulnerable. Secondly, yes, I can only agree with you. I think that Thai people are lovely people and with this huge potential.
Yes.
And I'm overall very positive about the future of Thailand.
Yes.
Even
absolutely.
though, from the economic perspective, the recent forecasts.
Well, forecast is a forecast.
Yeah, we're not very positive, but
No,
I
but-
remain positive about Thailand.
Yeah.
I believe that alongside peace comes prosperity.
Yes.
Because here we really live in a very peaceful society. There is no hate. There is no
Very little.
social division
Mm.
that we start witnessing. I personally witnessed in Europe. It's really a very peaceful society. It's not a very divided society, and it should strive. It should strive. It should develop, and it should only go into a better direction.
I could agree with that. Yes.
Francis, thank you so much
You're welcome.
for being my guest. Very interesting insights and lovely that you were here to share with us all your experience.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.